All right, guys. Good evening. I'm Devang from the Financial Analyst. A very warm welcome to you all. And today I'm here to talk about something which is very interesting and very relevant. Something you've been looking out for an answer for a long period of time, which is how do we trade that first 1 hour momentum that we get in the market? And I'm also going to talk about how to trade in different zones during the Indian Standard Time in our markets. And at the same time, I'm also going to talk about how do we turn that BTST fear that we have when we are in a profit on the next day, which eventually turns into a loss. I'm going to talk about lots of things today. I promised you an educational video and I'm here for it. As I record this, it's 11:27 p.m. on the Saturday night, 8th of May, and you'll probably see it on 9th of May. So without further ado, let's get started. And as I promised, it's going to be worth your time. So please click on the like button. If you are new to this channel, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and comment if you are waiting for this video. Let's try to achieve 500 likes on this video, and that would mean a lot to us. So let's get started without further ado. I'll give you an example what I'm talking about. Have you all witnessed this? This is the charts of Tata Motors, 9th April, a couple of weeks back, and we got a good breakout on the chart. It was a good breakout. You can see over here, we made a very good breakout happening, and Tata Motors failed that breakout. It happened on the first 1 hour, 9:15, and eventually it again came down in the rest of the day. This is where people get trapped. I'll give you another example if I have to. Let me go. Look at this example over here, 28th April, just a couple of days back. Right now it's 9th of May. So you can see over here a great breakout happened on the charts. Great closing. First 1 hour breakout that happened in the first 15 minutes. Eventually it failed. Nothing big happened in the markets. Another example over here, you can see this was the lows. You broke out on the first candle. Eventually it failed. I know for a fact a lot of people face this problem. So let me start with my advice before I start with the knowledgeable part. A lot of people make losses in the market. We are aware of that. 99% people fail in the markets. So I want to give you an advice that can change the life for you. If you are making a loss in the market, it's probably because you are trading in the wrong zone. You're probably trading in the very first 1 to 2 hours, probably because you are greedy. You want markets to open. You want to get into the markets. You have some different expectations, but market, as you all know it, has something else planned for you, and eventually things don't work out your way. So if you want to let that change, my advice to you will be try to start your day in the markets after 12 o'clock. And you will see, using the same knowledge that you have, using the same concepts that you will have, you will see a big change in your performance. Mark my words, try it out for a week. Let me know on Monday next time, 18th May. Let me know about that. So this is one thing I want to address. Try to understand before I get started, I need to explain you something very important. I need to talk about different zones that are involved in our market. Let's go to a black plain screen. Let me explain that. See, we have 3 zones. I've done lots of videos about them. Probably you have seen them. If you're new, you haven't seen them. So let me get you accustomed with what I'm talking about, because eventually that's what we will be discussing. So there are 3 zones that we should divide our markets in. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3. The zone number 1 is something I like to call a public zone. Public is what? People like you and me. We are fools. We are basically there in the market to be fooled, because eventually markets don't listen to us. We are just there to help others make money, small money. We are retailers, we are clients. The sooner you accept that, the more profitable you can become in the coming days. The first zone, which is your 9 o'clock 15 minutes, or you can say 9 o'clock pre-market to around 11:30, is our zone, public zone. And trust me, that's a volatile zone. Yes, you can make real good money in scalping. If you're in the right direction, you can make a lot of money in scalping in that time, because you will have wild swings. For example, let's say today, yesterday Naveen Fluorine posted results. Today, DMart posted results. So obviously in the first 1 hour or first 2 hours on Monday, markets will react to them. Not markets, people like you and me. We are going to react to them. But do you think we have any idea of what those results mean? We might think what those results mean, but it's always something opposite that the markets take. You've always seen how TCS posts best results ever in the Indian markets, and still markets fall after that, because you and I have no idea what's happening in the market. So the first zone is public zone. It's driven by you and me. The second zone is called the lunch zone. This lunch zone is basically when people like you and me, We're taking a break, we're off for lunch. And when the institutions, let me come to that later, are also not active, they're in the lunch zone. They're having lunch. Everyone's having lunch. Let's very casual about it. It's the zone to rest. And you will see maximum times again people get trapped here. Everyone wants to make money in India or any other country. Everyone is greedy about money. That's the money's fault. That's the cost you have to bear for earning money. And if you trade in the lunch zone, if you trade a breakout or a breakdown, 90% chances you will fail. Again, please understand what I'm talking about is something that's worked for me, is something that works a lot for everyone. It does not have 100% accuracy. There are movements that happen in the lunch zone as well. But you have to understand it's not about what movements that you miss. It's about how much loss that you are missing, loss or you're not making. Try to understand. A lot of people will say there are movements that happen in the zone number one that are sustainable. Yes, they are. I have seen a lot. But it's about, do you want to trade them or not? Because a lot of times those movements don't work. So don't have FOMO that what if I got in that trade, I would have made money. Focus on what you are not missing out, what you are not losing. It's always about having a big sample size, testing your things, testing your concepts on that big sample size, see the accuracy, see the probability, and then trade. The zone number 3, this is the most important zone. It's called the institutional zone, or you can say a professional zone. You heard on my Telegram a lot of times that it's 1:15, institutional activity is about to start. It's very simple. The big banks, the big brokers all over the world in India, they come active here. And you will see so many movements that are happening. I'll give you a very simple example. We always read at 6 p.m. in the evenings that FIIs are net sellers. Why are they net sellers? Because they must have sold, and you must have seen markets coming down after 130. It's obvious. It's very rare that they are net sellers and markets have not seen profit booking after 130. We always read FIIs are net buyers. It's obvious that markets have to come up after 130 for them to be net buyers, because that is the zone that they are active in. It's very simple, logical things, but something we don't think about. What am I trying to say before I move on to the concept? Very simple. If you are getting zone number one, 9 o'clock to 11:30, a volatile zone, you can make money, scalp it out. Don't sit in the lane trade longer. That's my advice. Do not sit in a trade for a long period of time in the zone number one. Zone number 2, lunch zone, try to sit it out. Unless until there is some news. For example, RBI meeting, some RBI government announcement. Maybe Prime Minister Modi wants to come and announce at 12 o'clock something important. Maybe Chief Minister of Delhi wants to come announce something at 12:30, 11 o'clock. Those are specific days that you could trade that zone. Otherwise, try to avoid that zone. You don't see a lot of activity happening in the zone number 2. And if you are trading zone number 2, breakouts or breakdowns, any impulsive move, they are most likely than not going to fail. That's another hint or an advice I'm giving you. Zone number 3 is the zone. If you want to make consistent money, try to be in the zone number 3. And as I said in the beginning, if you're making a loss by logging into your account in the zone number 1, try to shift and log in from zone number 3. Come in the markets around 12:30 when the European markets open. Be ready for that 1:15 institutional move when it's going to start. Trade that, because that's the move that we want to catch rather than the false breakouts that happen on the first zone. I hope the idea that I'm giving is quite clear. It's very simple, but it's powerful, because eventually markets are about psychology. Markets are about how you and how I think. If our thinking is not aligned with the big guys, we are going in for a big hit. And trust me, it's very difficult for some people to revive from that big hit. That's the problem with the markets that we're facing right now. Now let's look at some examples. Let's try to get this zonal concept clear. Look at this chart. This is, what is this? Yeah, look at this example. You can see around 11 o'clock. This is 11 o'clock, right? Once the zone number, this is the zone number 1. Highly volatile zone. Yeah, up, down, up, down. See the length of the wicks. A huge wick on the upside, huge wick on the, it's just 1-2 days back. And you can see around 11:30 how there is no activity in the market. That's what I'm talking about. I don't want you to waste your time here. It's useless. You might get a move one day, but are you really waiting for that one day out of 300 days to trade and make money? Are you there to challenge these things that have worked for a very, very long time? No. We're here for probabilistic trades, high probability, low rewards. high risk and low rewards. And if we can get that, we can be successful. So my advice is try not to be active in this zone. I think even this, you can see even yesterday, 7th of May, you can see after 11 o'clock, you saw good swings. As I said, it's a good scalping zone. The first 1 hour, so first 2 hours, sorry, is a good scalping zone, but not a zone to be in for a very, very long time. Let's say the first 1-2 hours are giving a breakout. Try to exit that breakout, because most likely not, it does not sustain. See what happens after 11:30, how markets become so silent. And finally, after 1 o'clock, 1:30, again that big move happens, because that's the institutional zone that we're concerned about. You can see another example over here, how after 11 o'clock, there is hardly any movement that we see in the markets. It's an everyday story. I don't have to keep showing you examples. Look at this area, Tata Motors again. I'm showing you one stock again and again. I think it's better that way. You can always check out Nifty, Nifty Bank, or any other stock for this fact of matter. I'm sorry, I keep on slipping tongue. It's too late in the night, but I felt I had a good idea in my mind, and as I promised, I wanted to bring it out before I forget it in the morning. So you can see over here also 10:45, 11:30, the move happened. After that, you just consolidated. I hope I've proved my point. We are staying away from this lunch zone. Coming to this first zone now, let's talk about that. Look at this example. I think this is one very, very good example. We had a good resistance over here, or you can see had a good resistance over here, and see what happened. The very first candle gave you a great move, right? And if you are a trader who, let's say, is an amateur who's starting the markets, this is something which is very good for you. And obviously, if you had some kind of setup which looks like this, I'm very sure you might have taken a BTST trade over here. And now the next morning when you wake up, it's in a great, great profit. From 301, Tata Motors at 310. What else do you need? What's that? It's a great, great profit, 10 points in the first 15 minutes. And that's where we fumble. Because we see this big move happening in the first 1 hour, we fumble. When I say we fumble, we hold the trade. We think it's going our way. No, there's no need to exit. But that's where we are wrong. If you are in a BTST trade, what does BTST mean? Let me ask you something. What does BTST mean? BTST in simple words means buy today, sell tomorrow. Can I explain it in Hindi? Market is giving you money to sleep. Market आपको पैसा दे रही है सोने के लिए. As simple as that. What is BTST? You take something at 3 o'clock, 2:30, you sleep for that day. Next day you wake up, you are in profit. Market is paying you to sleep. And if market is paying you to sleep, why the hell do you want to stay in the trade longer? Think about it. This is something I'll show you so many examples what we've discussed on Telegram in the last 1-2 days. ITC, Infosys. I'll talk about that. But if you, what's the advice now? If you take a BTST trade, your goal on that day was to exit in the morning. That is BTST. BTST does not mean you buy today at 3 o'clock and hold for 2 days. That is not BTST. I always say, when you punch in that order in your terminal, decide what you are doing. Are you staying in the trade for a couple of days? Is it intraday? Is it BTST? If it is BTST, respect that and exit tomorrow. And this is what people don't do. In the morning, because this move happened, as I said, most of the times, these moves are about to fail. And they do fail. They do fail. You can see a lot of examples about this concept. Let me show you great examples. This example is a very good example. 9th of April. Markets gave a great breakout, right? It was a great, great breakout. Who would have missed that breakout? I mean, if you look at the charts, really good structure, higher highs, higher lows, everything is working out for me. And this again, breakout failed. And it happened in the first 1 hour, first 15 minutes. And people then came to me and they said, why the hell did this breakout fail? I said, because it's driven by people like you and me. So if you are BTST, this is one time you get out, right? Because see what happens. I'll tell you, majority of the times what happens. Very, very simple. Majority of the times when the move happens in the very first 1 hour, don't expect the market to go up 10% in that day. If the move has happened in the first 1 hour, then for the rest of the day, a lot of time, it just tries to come back to retest. And this is the time where we think trade is going wrong. And then what happens? Market again on the next day goes back higher. Should I show you an example? I'll show you an example. ITC. You all must be remembering this trade. If you are following me for some time, you all remember this trade. See what happened in ITC. This is the chart of ITC. Let me hide all of these things. A great, great breakout happened. BTST. Next morning, 2% up higher movement in ITC. What happened? The entire day ITC fell down. People panicked. What the hell is happening? That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. If a big movement is happening in the first 1 hour, try to book it right away. Try to scalp those movements. If you are in BTSTs, you need to get out in this first 1 hour. If you are in good profit, don't keep sitting for the entire day, because what's going to happen is again it will come back down, and now maybe you want to get back in the trade. So you get basically two opportunities in the same day. Rather than holding the trade, it's not going to work out that way. And then again, you can see the move finally happened. I'll show a very good example. Infosys. Very, very good example on Infosys. See what happened on Infosys. Markets broke out. This was a resistance, great resistance. We took that trade for BTST. See what happened in the very first 1 hour till 10:30. It broke out. Everyone was bullish, but as I have said, the first 1 hour breakouts are not going to do you justice most of the times. And you can see it failed again. So if you are trading that, you need to accept whatever profit you're making, whatever money you're making, and you need to get out of the trade. And again, in the future, maybe after 4-5 hours, if you see that same kind of momentum coming in the institutional zone, that is what you need to catch, not the first 1 hour momentum. See this. This is a very good example. Great support, whatever this resistance. Markets, did something, it failed. And when this kind of activity happens in the institutional zone after 1 o'clock, that is what you need to capture, not something else, but this is what you need to capture. That's the reason I'm saying you need to come into the zones after 1 o'clock, not before that. I can go on and on with the examples. I have lots of examples to show you. Look at this example in Davis Labs. Yeah, this is a good example that I see. This is, see, the entire day consolidated. Let me hide everything. The entire day you can see consolidated. This was the very first candle, 9:15, went up, failed. Went up and it failed. Why? First 1 hour breakout rule. Another example, look at this over here. The very first candle, 9:15, at a resistance, it went up, but again it failed. But I didn't see any institutional activity in the second half. But see what happened over here. The first candle opened here, it failed and all. But when this movement, when the breakout happened in the institutional zone, inside bar breakout, you can see around 1:30 to the next 3:30. When the movement happened in the institutional zone, that is there to stay. That is the one that you need to capture, not beforehand. I hope my examples are clear. I'm putting it very simple, something a layman can understand. I hope you are benefiting from this. I can show a lot of ideas on this. So you can see this example also. Yeah, very, very good example I see on Sun Pharma. See what happened. The very first candle gave a huge move. What happens? A lot of people get on board this train. Everyone buys. Okay, Sun Pharma is about to break out. Let's go long, because it's about to break out. And after you see such a big, if you see it's a good 1% candle in the very first 15 minutes, it's ought to attract your attention. And see what happens. It fails again. I hope you're understanding, you're learning something new. Let me know in the comments. Click that like button if you learned something new. And see what happened. And when this breakout finally happened, when it happened in the finally institutional zone, around that time, this is what you need to trade. Catch these movements and not the false movements. I hope all these points are clear. And so again, as I said, this movement that came, it happened in the first 1-2 hours. It sustained. This is probably because of some news that happened. I think, on 5th May, there was a very big news about pharma. So you must have seen all the pharma stocks rallying in the very first 1 hour. But again, it's not about how much, when a particular strategy fails. It's about consistency. I don't want you to make one-off gains. I want you to make gains over consistent period of time. You can look at this example. I think I can't be any more clearer than this. The first 15-20 minutes gave a breakout. Who would have thought that would fail? Tell me. Who would have thought that would have failed? It failed. Why? First 1 hour breakouts. So to conclude what I have said today, it's very simple. I want you to not trade number one in the lunch zone. It's a zone to consolidate. You are going to lose money. Look at this example. It's a zone to consolidate. I don't want you to lose money there. Number two, when you are trading in the institutional zone, those are the movements that you want to catch. They are the big expansions on the upside or downside. And if you do get them, if you get a breakout in the third half, from 1:30 to 3:30, you need to catch them. That's the time most of the people make money. If you are losing money, try to shift from zone number 1 to zone number 3. Number 3, If you are doing a BTST trade, you need to exit in the morning first 1 hour. Don't keep sitting in a trade. If the trade's giving you 2% in the morning, don't keep sitting waiting for 10%. That's not going to happen every single day. Number two. Number four, if you are getting a big movement in the first one for 1-2 hours, they are the zone number one. People like you and me are driving that zone. We do not have so much knowledge about the market to give a very sustainable breakout on a sustainable basis. So if you are getting some movements in the first 1-2 hours, that's the time for you to scalp. Don't keep sitting in a position for a very, very long time, because that's going to be fatal to your trading career. If you are getting movements in the first 1 hour, breakouts, breakdowns, try to scalp them out, but don't trade them unless until they are proved right by the institutional zone. That's about what I had to talk. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments. If you liked and enjoyed the video, click on the like button, and I'll see you tomorrow, maybe for another educational video. Thank you so much.